Hey there, everybody. So I thought I'd come out here and do some work with the Fuji. It's interesting how people were kind of pretty. It was pretty easy to tell what they know what cameras I've got. My subscribers have been around for a while, and the Fuji guys, it was pretty easy for them to guess which camera was the Fuji. And they had to have been picking it for best video quality based upon being Fuji fanboys or anti-Nikon guys, because honestly, the Fuji video was the worst. There's no question about that. Tied for second with the non-corrected ZFC video, but the original Fuji video straight out of camera with the eternal profile right here in this setting with similar lighting conditions, it sucked. It looked like a Twilight movie. I don't know what that was all about. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, I think I was using, because last year all I used was Fuji and GoPro. Now the GoPro can make any camera look good, but some of the Fuji video was spectacular. There's an opening and a closing clip that I got in Zion on the Taylor's Creek Trail that the color is just spectacularly perfect. It looks like a National Geographic documentary. Digging it. And so I was thinking back on that, and somebody made a comment like, what profile were you using? Were you using a Turner profile? I'm not so sure. As a matter of fact, I don't think I was. The Taylor Creek Trail video, I think that profile was set to Velvia. So go figure. This, by the way, is the Fuji X-T3 with the 23mm f2 set to Astia or STD standard, and no other tweaks. Like, that's just it. No color corrections, anything. And the white balance I have set to shade. One of the problems with Fuji is I can't trust any of the auto modes except for the autofocus, and I didn't check to see if my eye autofocus was on, which it should be on. There's no reason for it not to be on, but I'm going to check that now. And I'm going to bump up to the Velvia profile and see what that looks like. So stay tuned. Okay, this is Velvia. And before the Fuji guys, I call them Fuji guys, but I'm a Fuji guy too, right? I got a Fuji. So don't beat me up, guys. I mean, come on. You guys get mad at me, but I'm the only channel that if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you. Now, I can very easily be wrong, and I'll admit when I'm wrong, but, there's no spin here. Like, it either works or it doesn't, okay? The Nikon AF is better. The Fuji IAF is trustworthy, however, okay? But the Nikon AF I'm a little bit more confident with. But I'm confident enough in the Fuji IAF to use it. So yeah, so I've been putting the Fuji IAF down in my comments, but that's not really fair because the Fuji IAF I'm confident enough to use, okay? I'm more confident with the Nikon AF. Fuji white balance and auto exposure, forget it. I'm kind of in a tricky situation here because the sun's like right on the edge of a cloud and it's going in and coming out and going in and coming out. So, but I'm still, there's no way I'm running. You saw the surge when I tried to use the Fuji auto exposure in the last video. Is that a big deal? Well, in really rapidly changing light conditions, trying to make a video, that could be rough. But that's not too frequent that I do that. So, like I said, all last year I used the Fujis and the video quality was fine. Once I learned to set everything pretty much to manual, except for the autofocus. So the talking head videos like this one, IAF works fine. In Zion, I set the manual focus because in Zion like that, we're walking down the trail video, and I'll roll that in the beginning and the end of this video so you can see what I'm talking about. The Fuji, it probably would have hunted all over the place. And it's no big deal. That's not a big deal. That's not a deal breaker. It's still totally usable. Like, I know what settings to set the camera at for what conditions in those situations. No problem. One thing that is tremendously better on the Fujis is the Fujis play a lot nicer with the stupid Rode Wireless Go microphones. The Rode Wireless Go microphones with Nikon is a problem. It doesn't sound very good no matter what settings I use, and I have to set it to like manually to 3, and I have to set this thing to God knows what. I'm still figuring it out. I still haven't gotten decent sound really, or as good a sound out of the Nikons as I get out of the Fujis with the Rode Wireless Go. I think it's more of a Rode Wireless Go problem because it doesn't seem to play nice with anything. Like you notice, like I have it pretty far away because it's a really hot mic. I have the receiver turned all the way down. I have the Fuji set to auto, and I have this further away from me just to keep it. And I still have to turn it down when I get it into the editing software. But that is something that the Fuji sound is a lot better. So now the preamp thing and all that, I have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. I do know that the Rode Micro microphone, the one that everybody uses with, you know, on camera, works really well on the Nikons, but it works really well on the Fujis too. So whatever. So this is the Velvia setting. Let's bump up to the Provia setting and see what that looks like. And I can check my exposure because the sun came out a little bit. Okay, so it's a little colder out here today. It's 36 degrees, Fahrenheit, which I think is something like, it's probably 33 or 30. It's probably 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. It's probably 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. Now I'm doing Celsius and Fahrenheit conversions in my head. That's scary. But next week we're headed for the deep freeze, and the high is going to be 20, which is probably -5 Celsius, and the lows are going to be 8 and 10. Oh, the sun really popped out. Wonder what happened to the exposure. And the lows are going to be 8 and 10, which is probably like -15 Celsius. Those are guesses, but it's close enough. So, yeah. So, you know, it's been an interesting experiment. Like for stills, like there's no question at all that the Z7 II is superior to any Fuji APS-C camera. It's also superior to any Nikon APS-C camera, and it's also superior to, I feel, to some of the other full frames that I've used. Canon still has color issues. Canon has resolution issues. But I have no experience with the newer ones, with any mirrorless Canon. I've said that before, so I can't really comment too much on Canon. As far as Sony's concerned, Sony's got color issues big time. And again, color issues aren't the end of the world. Color is negotiable, but how much time do you really want to spend jerking around with your color? That's the problem, right? I mean, if it's the closer you can get it to the way you want it to look straight out of camera, great. And so that's why I'm here, because somebody commented that like Eterna might not be the best choice if you're not color grading. Although, and it's been brought up to me twice now, Jordan Drake, who I respect as a, you know, serious videographer, knows what the hell he's doing, unlike my good self, who really I'm clueless in most instances. I'm learning, the learning curve has been steep, but I'm getting there. But I'm not in any way, shape, or form like, you know, I would put myself as a novice videographer, okay, where there's 3 categories: novice, intermediate, and pro, and I'd put Jordan in the pro category. But Jordan Drake says that he could use Eterna and use it to deliver to clients. Okay, maybe, but holy smokes, the other day in that one particular instance right here, it looked like dreck. No idea why. I've used it before, it looked fine. And somebody said, well, maybe you had the white balance goosed or something because you were screwing with it, whatever. It was auto white balance, and the shift, the color shift on the white balance was dead in the center. So I don't know what was going on there. But honestly, you know, I think the Fujis were worth a second look in terms of video quality, because I've gotten much better video quality out of them, and out of this X-T3 right here. So I don't know. So that's what this is all about also. Another thing that's interesting is And one of the things that's kind of plaguing me a bit is, okay, so I got all the Nikons and I went head over heels into the Nikon thing, and that's all well and good, and I love the Z7 II. I love the output. I love what it does for my stills photography. It really makes it a lot easier because the colors are nailing it and the sharpness is there, and if I do my part, it'll print as big as I want it. You know, the point is when you're shooting a Z7 II with those quality Z lenses, and you're printing, and it's not sharp to any size, like, and I mean like 30 by 40 or 40 by 60. That's not the camera, that's you. And so you don't go, oh God, you know, is this camera good enough? Like, you know it is. And so you know that if you're not getting the results you want, you did something wrong. The problem with APS-C is that, you know, when I'm at 16 by 20 and I'm not getting the results I want, is it me or is it the camera? And so there's that doubt, right? So yeah, so okay, great. But for video, no, not for video. So the Z7 II is great for stills, okay. But then I'm trying to get one system that does everything, okay? And so I put the Z6 II in there, and the 35, etc. And you know, the bag is starting to get heavy again. And it reaches a certain point where I lift the bag up and I'm like, it really kind of, it's a wet blanket at a camping trip, okay? it's not, it's like, oh, really? And now I got a bad shoulder. So I need to watch the weight a bit, and that's what the whole pursuit of the ZFC was about. At the end of the day, though, if I really look at what I'm doing, do I want a ZFC or do I want an XT4? Well, for just an APS-C camera, I want an XT4. ZFC is a piece of junk, comparatively, okay? Don't get me wrong, ZFC is a great camera, but it plays with your emotions in the sense that it's pretending to be something it's not. Okay, I shot FM2s professionally. ZFC's no FM2. It looks like something it isn't. And it's a mind trip. And there's a different word for that, but we won't use that because this is a family-friendly channel. Yeah, and so for a professional tool, I mean, I'm trying to use the ZFC for something it's not. It's not a professional tool, okay? It's a casual camera for hipsters and coffee shops. And that's great. Now, the Z6 II is a professional tool. And I'm not even talking about, you know, the quality output. I'm sure I can get the ZFC to perform. I'm talking about the build quality. I'm talking about weather sealing. I'm talking about ergonomics. I'm talking about solidity. I'm talking about, you know, being able to bang it on rocks and continue using it, etc., that kind of thing. So, and I'm very confident the XT4 is a professional tool. It's weather sealed. Mainly, like the ZFC doesn't play nice with UHS-2 cards. That's a drag. Okay, well, it doesn't play nice with the ones I got, and I don't have aftermarket knockoff, you know, super pro gear special SD cards that are made by God knows who. I mean, these are Sony SD cards, UHS-2s. The mid-range ones, they're not the tough ones, but they worked fine. They worked fine. They work fine in my XT3 UHS-1 slot, but it doesn't work in the ZFC UHS-1 slot. So that's an issue. So this is by the way, if I didn't mention it at the start, this is the Provia film simulation. I don't know, well, you know what? Let's zip over to Classic Chrome, see what that looks like. I don't know. Okay, Classic Chrome film simulation. All right, so the thing is that I broke out the old scale and I made some notes on the back of an envelope, which is how you do it if you're a pro. And if you're a professional pilot, you do it with a stolen pen from a hotel. But I'm not a professional pilot anymore. I don't do that for a living. So I didn't have a stolen pen. I had to use a pen that I bought. The Z6 II with the 35mm ZS-18. I'm curious what that sun popping out is going to do to my exposure. We'll see. It's not the camera because the camera's locked down. I think it's f2 at a 1/60th of a second. No, f2 at like, I'm sorry, f2 160 ISO at like 800th of a second. And that's locked in. That's all manual exposure. Anyway, the Z6 II with 35 millimeter 1.8 is 2 pounds 11 ounces. Boy, that sun's really out now. I'm going to check that exposure just because I'm just too curious. Yeah, I had to dial that back a bit. So I had to dial it back manually. That's Fuji. Okay. The Z6 II with 35 millimeter is 2 pounds 11 ounces. The XT4 with a 23 millimeter f2 is 1 pound 15 ounces. The XT4 with the 23 f2 and the 16 millimeter f2.8 is 2 pounds 6 ounces. So it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 6 ounces, 5 ounces lighter than the Z6 II with just the 35. So what I'm thinking of is running a hybrid system. Have the Z7 II and the XT4 with those two lenses. By the way, those are the only two lenses I ever used in the field for video anyway on an XT4 or an XT3 or an XS10. And if I dump the Z6 II and add an XT4 with those two lenses, I'm actually saving weight. Now I'm running two different systems, but hey, so there is that. The ZFC with the 16 to 50, which really isn't the same thing, is 1 pound 8 ounces. So there you have it. Yeah, so honestly, you know, I'm seriously thinking of running the XT4 for video and lightweight stills, and running the Z7 II for stills. I mean, that's where I'm at. I might run a hybrid system of Fuji and Nikon. So, yeah, and for people, there are a couple of guys who are running a Z7 with a ZFC. I get, if you guys can get, you know, I get that. I mean, the ZFC is not a bad camera. Okay, it's just, rationally, it's a fine camera. But compared to, for me personally, compared to what it could have been or should have been, like, it really, you know, it's like having a sore thumb and somebody hitting it with a hammer. Okay, so that's what the ZFC is for me. Could I make a Z7 II with a ZFC work? Oh yeah, absolutely, no problem. It's probably the smartest thing I could do. It would be lightweight, you know, and whatever. But I kind of like the idea of the variety. Really, this is a real compromise plan for me. And the reason why I say that is because I really love the Fuji interface and I love shooting with them, and I really love the Z7 II output, and the interface is okay. It's not heinous like Sony. And so for me, this is kind of my way of getting the best of both worlds in a way. I just need to be careful because I'm going to be prone to throw in the 10 to 24 and the 55 to 200. But see, okay, so that's my thinking, right? I can run the ZFC with the 14 to 30, the 24 to 70, and the 70 to 210. If I know I'm doing heavy stills, and then just throw the XT4 with the 23 and the 16 in the bag in the place of the Z6 II. And then I've got great video capabilities with pro level interface and weather sealing and build quality, right? Because the 16 and the 23 are weather sealed, the XT4 is weather sealed. I got 2 UHS 2 card slots, I've got beautiful displays, I got a flippy outy screen. Hey, what's the downsides is I have to set a manual exposure and manual white balance, and I have to set the autofocus scene dependent. Okay, fair enough. But weight-wise, I'm saving a little bit of weight versus throwing the the Z6 II in the bag with the 35-1/8. Okay. And then back in the camper, I can have another backup bag with the 10-24, the 16, the 10-24, and the 18-55, and the 55-200. So when I want to travel really light, I can grab the Fuji kit, which is, you know, nice, and have an XT3 for stills and a XT4 for video. Like, that's a great kit. Like, I love that kit. Okay, so that might be where I'm headed. I don't know. We'll see how this video turns out. These are really hard conditions with that sun being behind the clouds for half of it, and now the sun popped out, and I'm getting lens flare in the corner. I know that, but I know that going in. So harsh test. Maybe I should move down the road, and well, I've already done the video, so there it is. Okay, hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And thanks for coming along on this journey of video discovery for me as a novice who doesn't know what I'm doing, just trying to get the best results I can out of the gear I got, because that's what it's all about. All right, we'll see you out here. Bye. Merry Christmas.